Today we have with us Amit, who is the co-founder and CEO of online real estate portal NoBroker. Amit started NoBroker in 2013 with two of his friends with an idea of taking away the brokerage fees or middleman away from the whole property buying experience. Property listing platform initially to now being a integrated end-to-end solution for online property transaction. So can you take us through the journey so far? What is the roadmap that you see ahead with this kind of a comprehensive model?
Correct. So we think that roti kapda makan anyway are verticals or industries which are very large in a democracy like India. So real estate market per se is huge, and I think even 5 years from today we will still be only taking a percentage of that. It's difficult to say that we'll be 90% of Indian real estate. And within this real estate, there are many sub-verticals which are super huge. So for example, many of the online real estate players, through a mix of online and offline model, they are targeting towards customers who are for co-living, for student housing, for co-working, and for builder fresh properties. Each of these verticals are super big, and the players are solving a very real customer problem and with a large revenue pool. We are not into that segment. We want to be mainly a tech player. We don't want physical people on the ground, because that is not what we are. And while other players keep on focusing on good problems they are solving, we have chosen our problem, which is large enough. We are the play that we are in is, if you want to take a home, sell a home, take a property, commercial property, sell a commercial property, we are there. We are going to do it faster than anybody else, any broker, any other online player, and we are going to do it at a very small cost. So that's a large play that we are in, and we are progressing really well on that place.
Can you give me an idea about the scope of operations now, in terms of some of the metrics that you can share with us?
So we are, in terms of cumulative customers, we are now more than 70 lakh customers base company. We are adding more than 3 lakh new customers per month. So which basically means whatever customer base we have in the past 4 years, we'll do 50% of that in the next 1 year. So that way the growth is really exponential. In terms of number of properties, we are listing more than 1.5 lakh properties per month. So in terms of all the metrics, which is closures, which is brokerage saved, we are saving more than 1,000 crore worth of brokerage per year.
Any numbers around closures out of all these listings that you have?
So we have a recorded 15,000 deal closures per month, which is highest in the country. And this is despite the fact that we are only in 6 cities. We've been in 50 cities, we would have been even bigger. But in terms of deal closure, we are biggest.
Can you give us some inputs about what the market share equations are there in each of these verticals that you are in?
So what we would say is that overall, if the cities that we are in, if there are 15 lakh properties which are coming in the market, we are getting 1.5 lakh properties per month. So we are at a 10% market share across these 6 cities.
Okay.
Now, if you break it in terms of rental, sale and commercial, rental will be higher, will be between 13 to 15%, sale will be around 10 to 12%, and commercial will be perhaps 7 to 8%.
Okay.
And this is a function of when we started what, and as time passes by, we hope that we'll be able to catch up and everything will basically contribute towards upwards of 25%.
Correct. How long do you think the industry will take to have some sort of winners emerge as real winners? How many people do you expect out to be there?
So if you talk about unicorn, my prediction would be in the next year or so, you would surely see at least one unicorn. Whether it will be us or whether it will be someone else, that is something which needs to be seen. Why it has taken 19 years and still not one big unicorn out of this industry? I would say that the reason is that the industry, in terms of the online behavior of customers, is also evolving. And many of the companies, perhaps in the past, have taken the approach which is more similar to an e-commerce approach. That you just add more cities, do more advertisement, and you'll get higher market share. This is not that type of industry.
Okay.
In this industry, the task is much tougher. So I cannot advertise for a great looking mobile phone and courier it to you whether you are in Meerut or Kochi. What I need to do as a real estate player is that my job is even more difficult. Now we are sitting here in Sarjapur Road. You would want that a property, for example, say Koramangala. You would want a 2 BHK in Koramangala today at say 30,000 rupees rent. And the owner needs to be available right at that moment for the same matchmaker. So it's a far more difficult industry to really make money from, and hence it takes a lot of years. So we think the past 5 years have been that grunt work of 5 years, more of elbow grease, where we have been able to break out and reach this stage. So one is that much more effort is required. So many of the earlier players, if you interview them, they will tell you that they thought it is very similar to other businesses.
Yeah.
It is not similar to consumer internet e-commerce. It is not similar to matrimony. It is not similar to job search. This is a very different vertical in which a customer problem is different and difficult to solve because it's a non-standard product. Within the same building, the two houses are different in terms of balcony look, in terms of which door it opens to, and hence a difficult industry. And I think it has taken some time for players to understand that detail. Second, splurging money doesn't work here. Giving cashbacks or giving discounts doesn't work here because what customer wants is a very personal thing, a thing where he's going to live into, a thing where he's going to invest his entire life savings. So one is that you can't copy paste. So many of the VCs, when they funded their companies, they have tried to do a copy paste. That, oh, hey, in that company, spending a lot of TV advertisement has worked. So why don't you also do 100 crores of TV advertisement? It doesn't work that way. Right now, if I show you the world's best ad and you don't want to shift a house, the ad is a waste on you. So it has to be a very judicial mix of how you spend money. I think we have been very frugal. We will continue to be frugal. And because this industry is different.
In the last 5 months, NoBroker raised over 100 million. And that's not a small feat. And you have some of the market investors with you, Tiger and General Atlantic and all that. So how did you, how all this, all of a sudden, how did this kind of a large fundraising happen? How did you manage to back this fund from these large investors, global investors?
So I think this is not something specific which has happened in the past 5 months. This is more of a culmination of a business being built over 5 years, which is now obvious in terms of the size and so on. What General Atlantic and Tiger both have liked is that we are doing a customer to customer business, much more tougher business, much more sustainable and a higher revenue pool business. And the numbers, the growth that both of them have seen on the base of a very low marketing spend is something which they have loved. And I think over the years, the customers are our biggest ambassadors. So what I feel is, if on a WhatsApp group in a society, if two people are just discussing, hey, how should I sell my house or where should I rent my house from? And the other guy replies, try NoBroker. That's it. We have won the battle. That was all that we ever wanted. So I think that stage now we are reaching. So even when these investors and their teams as a consumer also, what they are seeing in the market is that NoBroker has reached that stage where we are breaking out. So that is more of a, I would say, confidence in terms of the business model, our focus on revenue, our focus on deal closure, and running it differently and not copying anybody. So there is no equivalent of NoBroker across the world. We are the world's largest consumer-to-consumer real estate platform who charges upfront from customer before the work gets done. And there is no equivalent of NoBroker. We are not a Amazon or Uber copy-paste equivalent in India. Nobody has done this at such a large scale. And I think this execution level is something which investors have liked, and they have felt that this is something perhaps we can do even better.
Are you looking at any sort of inorganic growth in terms of consolidations?
Yes, so we believe that not everything can be done by us alone. There are great founders and there are great companies which might be working in a niche and who might feel that it's a good time to join hands with us and this will grow faster. Our objective is to have those entrepreneurs and have those businesses merge with us or we acquiring them, and so that they can continue to have a microcosm in which they keep on flourishing, keep on doing well, and we in parallel become stronger because that missing piece comes into us. So be it technology businesses, be it niche players of real estate, across all the segments that we operate in, we are looking to basically acquire relevant players and become stronger and also help them become a part of a bigger ecosystem.
Have you analyzed anybody? Are you evaluating any companies? Is there any number, any particular budget that you've allotted to it?
So there is no specific budget that we have in mind, but what we and the board basically says is any good fit which is going to make sure that NoBroker is able to serve customers better, we are open towards it. We are in the process of looking at 2 companies and hopefully
there are uncertainties, especially around real estate and housing and all that. So, whatever is happening around us, in the, especially the real estate market, the financial market. So, how much of that is impacted on online, property listing platforms like this? What is the impact that we see?
See, actually, it has benefited us because rental remains our bedrock and it continues, right? No matter what the economy is, people have to live in a house. So, rented keeps on doing well. In sale, in the past 2 years, from a demonetization day to today, our business has just zoomed because although we do both builder and resale property, our resale properties are much larger, and customers right now don't want to take a construction risk, and they want to opt for ready-to-move properties. So that way, our business has really benefited because people are choosing more ready-to-move properties rather than the ones which are under construction. I think the next few months things are going to become better from a sale point of view. The reason being that right now a lot of transactions are happening, but they are happening from a end consumer point of view. Slowly the investors are also coming, and I think in the next 6 months, 12 months, situation should be much better. But I think for us the business has been pretty good because of ready to move property availability.